Good morning, good afternoon, and or good evening, wherever you're receiving this audio. Welcome back to another episode of the Busted Coverage Podcast, right here on YouTube as well as on Spotify. This is your host, Nicholas Persampieri, checking in, joined always by my partners in crime, Cam Griffin and Matt Baywood. Before we get started, we want to thank you guys for tuning in once again. We're on number 18 now, I believe, right? 18? Is that correct?
Yeah.
18 episodes, 18 weeks of greatness. So none of that is possible without you guys. We want to thank you guys for all the support. Make sure you guys are liking, commenting, and subscribing to the channel on YouTube, following us on Spotify as well. It is summertime, it's hot out, more cars on the road. If you're ever stuck in traffic, bored at work, you know the deal. Put us on, we got plenty of content. We go over as much sports as there is played, if that makes sense for you guys. So we got a lot of information to talk about today. Mr. Matt Baywood is going to be our moderator for today. We got some topics to discuss, and whenever he is ready, I think he's jotting some things down to give the good word to the good people. So Mr. Baywood, whenever you're ready, please let us know what's going on, what's happening.
Thanks, Nick. Just going to run through the topics real quick. We got what sport requires the most athleticism? Just a fun debate topic. And then moving on after that, we will be talking about who is to blame for massive comeback victories or comeback losses. We're going to be introducing a new sport, at least to our discussion, of Australian Football League. The sport's pretty crazy. And then we're going to wrap up with some NHL and NBA topics, being that we haven't covered them in a couple of weeks, and the NHL playoffs finished up this past week, and the NBA playoffs are wrapping up tonight. So if we can get this all out of the way, we're going to have some fun topics coming up in the next coming weeks. So I guess with that being said, I'm going to start with Cam on this one. What sport requires the most athleticism? Take it any way you want.
I was hoping you wouldn't start with me on this one. I was torn. To me personally, I when I think of athleticism, I think of pushing your body. I think of, sometimes making it move in different directions. To me, sometimes not always how high you jump, how fast you are. I know that gets kind of a lot of credit, but I think we had to define athleticism before we can say what it is. So to me, it's a little bit of everything. Personally, maybe a little controversial, I think it's man-made by itself, to the sense of I don't believe skates, cars, anything like that helping you physically will make you more athletic, but I don't look at it that way.
Yeah.
That's an enhanced thing. So sorry guys, I know a lot of flack. I don't think hockey is more athletic than other sports. I'm throwing it out there. Probably someone's going to dislike that. Football players, I get it, but you wear pads too, so I think that takes away from it a little for me, because in some sense you're restricting motion, so we don't know how athletic you really are until a flag league, we'll say, and you can see what they can do when they're not in pads and actually being weighed down. So I would actually go. I was torn. I want to say football, but I think I could take it a completely different way and go somewhere else. I'm going to say football, or I'd say soccer to an extent too. You go based off of your feet. The way you cut, you don't have anything protecting you. I mean, shin guards, but if you've played soccer, it does very little. Your body's on full display. There's no help. You are what you are. You can move the way you move because there's no restrictions. I know it gets a bad rap. People flop. But if you've played, then you know that when you don't flop, it's actually really hard to do, because it's 45 minutes of basic consistent running. Unless you're subbed out. But if you're really good, you're not really getting subbed out. I feel Nick is going to say rugby. I was kind of going that way, but I was going to let him say it.
I'm not going to say it.
You're not going to say it? Oh, even better. But I think in general that's how I would take it. I'd say any sport where there's no pad or nothing enhancing your ability would show you that you are athletic. to an extent.
I have a rebuttal, but being that I'm moderator, I'll wait till Nick goes. So, Nick, go ahead.
What's up, guys? Cam, you actually should be proud of me. I chose a sport an event in your favorite sport.
An event in my favorite sport.
I chose the decathlon.
I was actually going to say hurdles, but I was afraid.
The only reason I picked it is because there's 10 of them bitches. So it's 10 things in one thing, and I think it combines all aspects of athletic ability between running short distance, long distance, jumping high and far, throwing things far, light and heavy, and then
pole vaulting.
Yeah, so it's the 100 meter, the long jump, the shot put, the high jump, the 400 meter, the 110 hurdle, the discus, the pole vault, the javelin, and I guess it's the 1 mile run, but it's the 1500 meter. So basically a mile run, right? That's 1500 meters. Roughly.
100 short, but yes.
Roughly
I think the
mile.
miles technically
16 something.
It's like
1609, something like that, but yeah,
roughly
a mile.
So it's pretty much like maybe not every track and field event ever made.
It's a good synopsis of the meet.
Right.
That's
and
a good
I think
answer.
You have to have like
You can't spell synopsis.
I actually can spell synopsis. I just choose not to. But that's right. Synop. Short abbreviated. But yeah, so I chose that. I know obviously they don't have the endurance of like a marathon runner. They may not have the strength of maybe a rugby player, a football player, or the speed of a sprinter, but they have to have a little bit of everything in order to even place in their event. And to me it's considered the ultimate athlete, or unless you want to count like the CrossFit games or whatever. But even then, that's kind of inspired by this type of event where they have multiple events in one event. So I think I chose the decathlon. So final answer.
No, it's funny you said that because I was actually thinking track, and I'm like, I think individually they're each, really, if you have to be athletic, I'm like, I didn't even think decathlon, or I would have been right there with you.
Damn, that was a good answer,
That was
Nick.
a great answer.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard for me to make
6
my
letters
rebuttal
by
after
ass.
that.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, I don't think you can, but I'm here for it. Let's
I was actually going to say hockey, and the reason I was going to say hockey is that you have to have a mix of speed. I don't think skates help at all. I think that it's actually harder to do things on skates than like a basketball player per se. I was almost banking on one of you guys saying basketball or football. However, your point about pads and whatnot, you can't really identify that.
If we watch,
There's so many positions.
Yeah, but if we watch, and I'm not saying we should do this, but if we watched hockey players without pads, just in general without pads, some of the movements they make with their pads, you can tell, like, okay, look, if they had full range of motion, it might be really exciting to see some of the things they can and can't do.
Yeah.
We can't see it because they're protected with their pads. I'm not saying they're not athletic, guys, because I know someone's going to sit there and try and roast me on it. What I'm saying is we can't see it because it's covered up.
My point is the fact that they could still do what they do while also being in that situation is just a triumph to them having such athleticism. My point being, they have to worry about being hit every 2 seconds. They got to keep their head on the swivel with a puck that can go well over 100 miles per hour. So they got to be able to jump, hit, get a puck that's yay big. Obviously, the audience can't see it, but they should know what a hockey puck looks like if they're listening to the show.
He did like a circle with his hands.
We thought it was square.
His analogy.
So my question with this, and we'll stay on the hockey thing, and I can be switched, I can be changed. I will. My question is this: as an athletic person, it looks more like I would say you need certain traits in hockey. I wouldn't say that that's athleticism.
You need a mix of strength, speed, hand-eye coordination.
I don't consider hand-eye coordination athleticism.
It goes hand in hand, though.
But no, it doesn't.
Sure, it does.
Hand-eye coordination?
Yeah.
So why? How?
First of all, if we're talking about athletes as a whole, if you're playing baseball, you got to have hand-eye coordination to hit the baseball.
Quick, I started my segment with saying I think we need to define athleticism.
Yeah.
So define it.
Well,
for your argument.
It's broad, but specifically for hand-eye coordination, if you don't have hand-eye coordination, you're going to be like Kwame Brown in the NBA, where you can't catch the fucking basketball because you have no idea what, like, you can't move in the sense that you have anything that you could, react to in a quick way, should you say. Like, Kyrie Irving, his handle is a lot of hand-eye coordination in practice, but hitting a baseball, hand-eye coordination, shooting a hockey puck, a goalie saving the hockey puck is a little bit of luck, a lot of hand-eye coordination. There's a lot of sports that require it. Ronaldo, being able to jump up and get a header in, you got to be able to time it and know where the ball is going. You got to be coordinated for that. And those little, especially on those redirects in hockey, where players are just able to like get their stick up and just be able to tap it in with even the thin part of their stick. I mean, that's impressive that you got to be able to do that in real time while also being shielded, hit, this, that, and the other thing. It's being able to fight through that, no load management, or I don't think there is much or any in hockey. So, they're playing every 2 nights. It's not like basketball where, you got to be really athletic to do basketball too. Be able to dunk, jump, running down the court, this, that, and the other thing. But and you're doing it on skates. A thin blade.
I raised my hand. The only real argument I'll make against, like, the whole redirect thing.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to be athletic.
That's what
to
I'm saying.
do that.
What I was trying to make the argument for hand-eye coordination being a part of athleticism.
Sure, of course, but at the same time, I could just swing a bat at a 100-mile-an-hour fastball and get lucky to hit it.
True.
So I think if we take that yes, hand-eye, I do agree with hand-eye coordination being an enhancer to athleticism.
I would concede that, but I would also. Well, I'll let you finish.
Also, my other point being, we've also seen examples where people may not be that athletic and be great at sports.
Okay.
Like, for example, basketball. Larry Bird was not a great athlete.
No.
He was slow. He couldn't jump.
He was skilled.
He was very skilled, which goes into your hand-eye coordination argument. That, I think, not hid, but it enhanced what he was capable of doing. And that's why we regard him as one of the greatest players ever. And he also had the will to win, which are intangibles that further enhance athletic ability.
I don't know. I don't think that your will to win will enhance your athletic ability. I think it enhances your work ethic. Maybe we look at you more, but you can be a loser and be very athletic.
Right, but I'm saying, like, someone with, like, a killer mentality, we're going to view them as a more elite athlete than we
Right,
would
like Michael Jordan's
say,
a crazy athlete.
Right, compared to a guy like Gilbert Arenas, who in his own right, amazing athlete, amazing shooter, but we remember Michael.
But if we're looking at it from a point of who's got the best athletes, then are we lump summing all together for the sport or going person by person? Because if we're going person by person and we're going to go with, okay, hand-eye coordination, which we'll use because that's what they would brought up, we can turn around and say, okay, if we're going to say hand-eye coordination, let's sit here and we can look at tennis, we can look at ping pong, we can look at badminton, we can look, where you strictly, you can't, you have to. I can hit a hockey puck and there's still a very good chance that it does not go into the net because the goalie takes up a good chunk of it.
Yeah.
There's nothing helping you. Again, if we take all the padding off the goalie, you have a better chance of doing it, which, again,
dangerous as hell.
Dangerous as hell. But enhances your argument. Well, it's a lot harder.
Yeah.
But if we take it this way and say, okay, well, what about ping pong? It's a lot shorter. You don't have as much time as the ball coming towards you because, well, they stand far back, but you're still pretty close. And that ball is whipped. We can barely follow it on screen sometimes. So I would say it's more, and when I look at it, I try to take a little bit of everything in there. It's how you move. It's a little bit of your height, like you said, jumping. We don't know in hockey because of the way it's played.
Right.
Hockey people have to jump too, though.
But we don't see it a lot. Jumping,
every game.
Well, how high are they jumping?
Well, I don't know.
That's my thing. Jump,
okay, so you're saying
they are jumping over people or diving over people?
No, they're jumping either out of the way of the puck or in the way to stop a puck from getting to the goal.
So somebody is like Sidney Crosby just like hurled the dude on his way to the net.
So now
if that happened, we would turn around and say
backwards
he's freaking athletic.
So I guess to your point, hockey has a lot of traits in terms of they have a lot of combination of athletic ability, but it's not necessarily the most athletic.
Their sport doesn't allow them to show how athletic
because
they
of where they are.
Because of what they do and where they are.
Yeah.
Now,
On ice.
if we all pull them and say, look, let's go play some street hockey together, they'll bust all our ass and probably the most athletic people there.
Yeah.
But for what we can see from a game-to-game basis, I just can't give it to a hockey player because I can't see it.
So
that's it. And
just to play towards Nick's...
They'll argue that too.
So just to play towards Nick's point here, because obviously his answer is just like unbeatable in this sense.
I don't think it's unbeatable.
What do we think about triathletes? Like the triathlon. I know the decathlon is 10, but the triathlon is
different things.
They are different things.
The triathlon's 3 different sports.
It's
three
cycling, swimming, and running.
Right.
So I think when you do things to almost your whole body focus, like running, swimming, crazy,
that involves every muscle.
That involves every muscle. I feel you need to be athletic to do those. Track and field, I've done it, like I said, for years on the podcast. I did it. I've done the hurdles. It's fucking hard.
Yeah.
I challenge anybody to do it. The shorter you are, trust me, the harder it is.
Yep.
I'm 6 feet, and I still struggle to get over the high school hurdle. And the college hurdle's even higher. Hard. Pole vaulting, if you've never done it, I pole vaulted. It was hilarious. I fell off the mat, didn't even make it over the bar. It's really hard. Then to turn around and push your body. And
you gotta be able to bend your body.
Yeah, it's back to back to back to back to back events. So you're moving your body from one event, then you're going to another event, and then you're going to another event. Yeah, and they're all taxing their body.
I think they do 5 in one day, and then they wait a day, and then they do another 5.
Yeah.
I gotta say
that's crazy.
That answer caught me so off guard.
I was
not ready for that.
I was not thinking it.
I'm gonna just concede the fact that Nick got that right, in my opinion.
But I do like your triathlete one.
Yeah,
I think that
is a fair argument because they do different things.
Right.
Or even I know you mentioned these what is it, like the snow, mountain climbing, skiing.
Yeah,
hiking,
it's similar to that. You got to climb up the mountain with skis.
Fighting off bears like the Revenant in the Olympics. So that'll be intense, So and it's extreme climates.
Let's take it back a little bit real quick, and let's think about when we were in high school.
Mm-hmm.
We all said, they're good athletes. But what made a good athlete? Someone who stood above and beyond everybody else. We like, that person's a great athlete.
Yeah.
Or someone who was built in a certain way and could move better, like
and they were the
Sue.
Yeah.
I'll just use him for example. Javon Clowney.
Yeah.
Jadeveon Clowney when he was at
South Carolina.
Yeah. When you're big and you move that way. Tommy, to an extent, when we play, faster than he looks. Nick, hand-eye coordination, got it. Be able to throw dots off the run
from the shoelace
and your footwork. When we look at people and we're like, okay, there's a good athlete, we can justify in our head why they are a good athlete.
Yeah.
And I think when we can look at sports and we can do it, for example, you made arguments out of hockey I would not have thought of. I don't think about jumping in hockey because you're on skates. What are you jumping for?
You're right.
I don't think about the cutting in hockey because that's kind of how you stop sometimes. You gotta turn sideways.
All I'm saying is, if I see someone get hurdled in hockey like Saquon, bro,
it'd be hilarious. But that's kind of where I'm coming from on my thing. I think anything that you push your body to do,
deke through the legs, better. Jump, hurdle, and then score a goal.
That's my.
That would have been sick. Surprise subtopic here, because I think we were leaning towards this direction when we were talking about the hockey thing. What sport would you guys consider? I guess I'll start with Nick here. Is the most skilled? Because we were starting to lean towards that a little bit. We were on the brink of skilled and athleticism, and I think we need to address that as well.
One because there are a lot of sports that I think the way we see sports as players, as fans, as whatever, it's a combination of athleticism and skill. Like even basketball. You can run, you can jump as high as you want. If you can't shoot a jumper, you're not going to play much.
Mm-mm.
And a lot of that is technique-based, too. Even football. You could run a 4.3 40. You can't run, those complex routes against a cover 3 when there's a shade and a rover and a this.
Speed only gets you so far in certain sports.
So far. Now, speed's a great thing to have. But, knowing your game and the nuances, if you will. I'm actually going to take a different route.
Okay.
I'm going to pick mixed martial arts. And the reason I'm
Okay.
going to pick mixed martial arts is because, one, it's a combination of athleticism, size, strength, speed, endurance. Two, you're getting punched in the face. So there's a sense of like urgency, survival mode. It takes you to a different place, adrenaline, all that kind of stuff. And you have to combine different styles of combat, right? You have wrestling, you have jiu-jitsu, you have Muay Thai, you have boxing, you have this, that. These guys train and are cutting weight and all this stuff. They're putting their bodies, men and women, by the way, through turmoil for 12, 16 weeks on end to potentially fight for 20 minutes? Or even you get punched one time, they're done, right? So you have to have the skill to avoid those things while at the same time knowing how you can beat your opponent while, suffering
Right.
and weight cuts and training 9-10 hours a day, starving yourself, blah 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 blah.
Cam, you got an answer? Or do you
That's
want me
my
to
pick.
go?
I'm torn between three, so I'm gonna let you go first.
I'm gonna say gymnastics.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. That's not what I was thinking. Stop hitting your arm.
There's a lot of that's like the third time. There's a lot of different events though. It's similar to like track and field where you got a lot of different. Specifically, I would say like the balance beam because you got to be extremely technical and precise in order to get a good score, and they really look at your landing. And if you slip off, I don't know exactly how many points you lose. It really depends on how you dismount. But just being able to do all those flips and acrobatic moves and you got to have your hands chalked up properly and be able. It's what, like 4 to 6 inches wide that you're jumping and flipping off of
I think
Your
it's
margin
4.
for error is
Yeah.
very
is
slim.
very slim. So you got to be super technical and skilled to be able to do that.
I'm gonna go back a page from our other conversation before I give you mine. I think on the decathlon, on that comment, the all-around gymnast comment, would go with athletic too.
Yeah.
Because that's the one person doing all the fucking
Every event.
events, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm torn on mine because we're talking about skilled and technique, and I'm torn between swimming, and I'm torn between. I would go back to track, and I like Nick's argument for you train all year for 20 minutes, and I think I can respect that. In track you train all year for 10 seconds,
Yeah.
and fast is fast, but what separates you in swimming and track can come down to your technique and your skill and your hand-eye coordination, or the little split second before you track field goes off. Next time you watch a track meet, watch the start. The smoke comes out before the sound. So when we watch it and someone jumps, they got a kick on how long the guy takes before he hits go. Most false starts happen when you predict the gun. But if you sit and watch, the guy does it the same way every time. If you can, and that's how where a false start will come, because he might slip up one time and you predicted and it didn't happen.
So, just a curiosity question.
Sure.
I only ran track for one season to try to get fast for football, but I'm curious to know. Say if because you said the smoke comes out before the
You
sound.
can't. You're not looking up, but from a fan's perspective, watching it, the smoke, because actions happen and sound happens after.
It's behind you, right? Yeah.
Right.
So they can't
So,
see it.
But if someone were to see the smoke,
Well,
is that technically a false start? Or does the sound?
I mean, I
have to
guess you
come?
could run like this, but then you gotta stay in your lane.
You're more than likely gonna fall.
Yeah.
It's
So-
gonna be
so-
a bad
so-
get
and
off.
They put your eyes to the back of your head.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
From the farthest
We need
lane.
an owl
So
next
there's
guy.
really no advantage to looking at the gun guy, because
It's like a pug.
you either are staying in your lane
Right.
or people are going to be trying to move in front of you. So you've really just focused on staying forward. So yeah, but if you watch the meet next time on TV, you hear the sound, but the smoke usually comes out first.
That's pretty sick.
It's just sound happens
Mhm.
lights faster than sound, so you see it.
Right.
That's it. But I would go one of those, because speed is speed, but it's the skill that will separate you in being a champion or not. And I would agree. I would say any individual thing would be skill. You know, anyone can do stuff, but at some way, shape, or form, something's got to separate you, and usually that's what the skill is. It's your skill level. You know, we can take 20 people off the street. They can all shoot a basketball and get it in the net. It may be 20 different ways, but then we're going to break it down. Well, who's got the skill to do it most consistently? Whose form is better?
Just kind of funny comment here, but have you seen the, the World's Strongest Man competitions? Those guys that train endlessly to, either throw the keg over the
is that the strongest one, or is that like the fun?
That's part of it, I think.
Is it really?
Yeah, they do all kinds of crazy events.
Yeah, they do, benching, squatting. They do the 50, the multiple. There are different pound kegs or keg containers that they launch over that. But have you seen the videos of the guy like a jacked guy at a construction site, against one of the former world's strongest men, and just crank through like a piece of rebar? And it was unbelievable. So like we've discussed a couple weeks ago, is we don't know how many good athletes there are out there either.
No, and that's the crazy part. And then we discussed a while ago too, is one thing was who's got opportunities and who doesn't. You know, we can all walk down the street, and we play flag football, which we talk about all the time. How many people in our league are really good, but probably messed up in life somewhere?
And to be fair, there's a couple people in our league that are so skilled and technical in flag football specifically that if there was a professional league, I would not doubt that they would be an all-star in it.
And then we have people who play in the league who are trash, who did get the opportunity and go places. So, you know what? Yeah. We get a little bit of everything.
Cool.
I won't say names, but yes.
So, we're going to move on to our next topic here. Those are honestly interesting answers all around. They were pretty surprising, what we came up with here. Next, who is to blame for massive comeback victories and losses? Cam, you mentioned earlier in the week that you liked this topic. I'm assuming you thought about this pretty thoroughly.
I did.
I'll start with you on it.
I did. To me, there's two people you blame. Coaches, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's going to be the second part I'm going to say. You blame coaches, and you blame superstars.
Of the losing team.
Well, yeah, because where you win, we're not thinking about you.
Okay.
So, yeah, in the loss, you blame the superstar, and you blame coaching. There is never a situation where you should blow a 20-point lead in a game in the fourth quarter. I'm sorry. There's never a situation. You know what? I will say this right here. I'm going to go back. I'm not even going to take that. We're going to go back to UConn, Illinois, in Boston. The game was over out of halftime. There is no reason you should have a 30-0 run in an Elite 8 game to get to the Final Four. Coaches, call a timeout. Why are we not calling a timeout? Chew their ass out. Superstars, look, I'm sorry, don't pass the ball, go get a bucket. Sometimes you don't make the right play, you just stop the bleeding and worry about everything afterwards. Because one bucket can always change the momentum.
Yep.
Or stop what they have. We literally watched the game go from 23-23 to 53-23. It was over.
Yeah.
And to be honest, watching the rest of the game is kind of torture. We watch teams blow 20-point leads when they take their foot off the gas. We watch the Knicks come back against the Celtics.
They also blew a couple leads, too.
We watched Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown look like they didn't know what they were doing. That's a superstar's fault. That's not your... Look, coach too, but that's you. At the end of the day, you're the one on the court, not the coach. He can tell you, he can drop a play. You got to execute the shot. And sometimes you just got to go, and I will give Kobe, LeBron, credit on this. Kobe, LeBron, Michael credit. At some point, it's just give me the ball and get out of the way. At some point, it's just give me the ball, get out of the way, and then when you're mentally back, we'll look into more. You can't just rely on the plays that are drawn up if they're not working. We can look at our teammates and see, look, he doesn't have it today. Sorry, he doesn't have it. or he's mentally not here during this run that's going on by the other team. That's as a player. And then afterwards we have to say, well, I just think they did a good job. No, they didn't. You got out-coached. You didn't call timeout when you should have. You drew up the wrong plays. You didn't put the right people in the game. And sometimes you just got to take a hard foul. Chew your team out. Superstar. Well, they had a thing. Why did you pass the ball? Chances are, if they're going on a 20-something lead, you're in the game. What did you do to prevent that? Did you go up, Anthony Edwards, guard the best team's other player? Did you take the ball out and say, Coach, no, clear, Kobe, elbow, clear out. I'm getting a bucket. What did you do to stop it? So to me, those are the two people that we blame. If you have more superstars, it sucks because you should definitely not blow a 20-point lead. But it's happened multiple times this year.
Especially Boston was loaded. They had no reason. They had no business doing that.
You have no reason. And I'll give you another one. It's going to hurt. The Pacers and the Knicks.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. Some of the games, Tyrese Halliburton is hitting shots, and they've bounced all around and gone in. I get that. But let's look at it logically right here. It shouldn't have got to that point.
That was the players.
That's what we remember. But if you were in the game and asked all the players, it should never get to a point like that. Anything that happens after you blow the 20-point lead, it should have never got to because you should have won. So that's where I come from on
They
that.
could have dribbled the shot clock out twice.
Exactly. If you took two 24-second violations, what happens?
It's game over.
I mean, it's not smart, but game over.
So I do have a follow-up question to this, but I'm going to let Nick go because I don't know what he's going to say here. So Nick, take it away.
I don't even know what I'm going to say.
Uh-oh.
That's what makes it so great.
Anything is possible.
Yeah. Anything's possible. No.
It's KG.
Yeah, it was. So I'm going to piggyback slightly off of Cam's point in terms of as players need to know, one, I need to take over in certain circumstances, or two, and I know we've had experience even in pickup or other leagues that we've played in. Okay, my shot's not going today, but since I'm on the court, I'm going to play defense. I'm going to rebound. I'm going to set picks. I'm going to do something else to, like you said, either stop the bleeding or fix whatever issue that I might be having.
And defense rebounding is all effort.
Exactly. So when you're on the court, you still have to do something to contribute. And then if you're just playing lazy, then you need to get off the court, give somebody else the minutes. Yeah. If you're just mentally not there, you got to swallow your pride, step off, right? I will go a different route since I think for the sake of argument, I believe more credit should go to the team that comes back in certain cases. Not all. Some cases it's just a straight choke job. But sometimes, particularly game one of Pacers-Knicks, the Knicks had no business losing that game. Fair. I think also, though, we need to recognize Nesmith had 6-7 threes in a row, whatever the hell it was, in the last 3 minutes of the game. He basically said he caught fire and inspired his team.
So you're literally countering Cam's point.
Not really countering, but I'm just thinking there should be a similar weight and credit given to particularly Nesmith. But I mean, Halliburton hit a lucky ass shot. Yeah. It is what it is.
But that's what I'm saying. Shouldn't have got to Halliburton's point.
Right. I think it's equal weight of players being accountable, but at the same time, when they do make a comeback, credit should be given where credit is due, because that was probably the best shooting performance of Aaron Nesmith's life.
Yeah.
In that 3-minute stretch. And he deserves a lot of credit for that because he inspired his team to come back in the game.
It was all him.
He was all the energy.
Yeah.
But to Cam's point, Boston, when it's one thing to do it once.
Yeah.
Boston did it twice in a row. At a certain point, it's not the Knicks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I love my Knicks. I was hyped as fuck when they... Sorry for the F-bomb, but I was hyped as F
Explicit.
when they came back twice. But it should not have happened twice. One time, okay, the Knicks fought back. They were resilient, this, that, and the third. Twice? Now the questions start. What did the coach do?
Yeah.
What did Tatum and Brown do? Like, if it's an ongoing thing, You can't say, oh, this is where the Knicks had them right where they wanted them. No.
So-
One time, yeah, but multiple times it's...
So let me sort of follow up on the coaching route. In like a sport like football where you're very coordinator driven, where somebody is literally calling plays into your helmet and then you're relaying that to your team. Let's bring in the greatest comeback in Super Bowl history in the Patriots versus the Falcons. What was it, 27-3?
28-3.
28-3. I always get that wrong. 28-3.
Should 27 was that the Eagles versus the
I think that was the Chargers-Jaguars game, no?
Wasn't it the Eagles this year versus the Chiefs? Because wasn't he on the sideline saying that they can come back from this deficit? The Pats did it. We can do it too.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and it was 40-0.
Yeah. Well,
That
that was
one?
40.
That one?
It wasn't 40-0 at that point. But
Looked like
that's
it.
a different kind of comeback.
That's not what my DraftKings account said.
That's a different kind of comeback.
He knew they weren't coming back. Anyway, sorry, Matt. My fault.
So my question is being that it's so coordinator and coach driven, and you're literally receiving plays in your headset, is there a point in time where Matt Ryan should have just played the my headset's not working moment and just taken over and said that's not what we should be doing in this instance and just ran the ball, or not done the coordinator's play?
There are times where, and I'm going to throw this out there, and if there are times, and this is one of the reasons I think it's funny having former NFL quarterbacks talk and do the announcing for every sport. Tom Brady and Peyton Manning have both been on, and even Aaron Rodgers been on record as saying, "Coach called one thing, I said no and did something else." So in that sense, yes, Matt Ryan should have done that. It's always easy to say years later, shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Yeah.
In the moment, we were like, "What is wrong with your defensive coordinator? Like, what are you not?"
And
doing?
it was offensive.
What is wrong with
Shanahan.
your offensive coordinator? At some point, you have to change the play. Again, I don't play football like that, never have.
Yeah.
Mom wouldn't let me. So I don't know what goes through their mindset, but I can speak on what some of the greatest of all time have said, that sometimes plays are called and they don't like it based off the defense they're seeing, and they change it.
And they don't give the same sort of, what's it called, leeway when it comes to being able to change plays in the huddle, unless you're a veteran that's been in the league for a while. Matt Ryan was very established at the league at that point.
But
Kyle Shanahan is obviously an offensive genius in a way, but in the big moment it seems like he has been known to not perform.
In that game, I think it would have done Matt Ryan a service to change the play. But it wasn't just the offense that were concerned. Their offense stalled, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But that's why we say before, it shouldn't have gotten to that point.
Yep.
Because you were up 28-3. It took some great, incredible catch to where we're still looking at it, wondering how Julian Edelman made that catch. We're still wondering, Julio Jones' toe tap was great, but we shouldn't have needed it.
Yeah.
The bad snaps. Run the ball instead of throw it. We can go down the list and blame offense and defense. So I can't really look at Matt Ryan by himself.
Right.
And I think the difference on the sports we said versus football is any sport where you play both sides, obviously you get more blame because you're in charge of your defense, you're in charge of your offense. I'm a little lenient on football to an extent, because we're not blaming the same people for both. You're not in charge of offense and defense.
Right.
Nick had a point earlier. I'm just not doing it now. I'm going to go rebound. I'm not scoring a rebound. You're still impacting winning or losing because of your play right there. Tom, a quarterback will say, unless you're throwing interception, we're not really going to look at the defense on you. Yes, field position and all that stuff too, but that's getting technical on it. I'm not looking at them giving up 3 sacks based off of your play. So I think in basketball, football, basketball, hockey to an extent, I didn't even say baseball if you want to go offense defense, or some people do. Where you have to play both sides,
Yeah.
you're in more control than someone who's not.
Okay. Nick, do you have a point on the should
On the Super Bowl,
just
that question.
in games like that? Is there a point where a quarterback in a really coordinated setting, where obviously football is super coached?
Yeah, so it kind of makes you. I mean, I'm just going to use the Falcons Patriots Super Bowl as an example, since that's what we're mainly talking about. Because Matt Ryan was the MVP that year. He was, like you said, already well established. He'd been the Falcons quarterback for
At least 10 years, I think.
at least 7 or 8 at that point, for sure. Excuse me, sorry.
Because the guy's about Aaron Rodgers' age.
He's in college. No, he's in college. Matt Ryan was. He's my
I think he was 09.
No. Oh, in
In the
draft.
draft.
Yeah.
He was like 09.
08, 09?
Right? Did he come out the same years? Anyway, besides the point.
2008.
Yeah.
2008.
Boston College.
Right, he was like the 2nd overall pick that year or something like that.
So he was like 8-9 years in the league.
Yeah.
Right, so he was their franchise quarterback.
Yeah.
You were the MVP of the league. Interesting note, Kyle Shanahan had taken the head coaching job of the 49ers prior to this Super Bowl being played. Kind of makes you wonder, did they have enough trust in each other to let Matt Ryan make audibles, whatever have you? I would think you would, because you had a 9th-year quarterback who's the MVP, led your team to its first Super Bowl since the 90s. Like you said, you tell me you can't make one adjustment to run the ball, but that's not excusing like what play was it when Dante Hightower
just broke through.
stripped them.
Yeah.
Their running back Deontay Foreman was gonna block and then made a business decision. I'm gonna release and run a route. He comes in unblocked. He smashes Matt Ryan. Changed the whole game. That's not on Matt Ryan. When a giant linebacker's coming untouched, full speed, But to your point, Matt Ryan should have had at least the pull to say, we should not be running this play right now. I'm changing it to this.
And those plays started taking way too long to develop at some point.
Right, and now you look years down the road, Shanahan has been to 2 additional Super Bowls as head coach of the 49ers.
Has he won?
No.
No.
With Garoppolo
Lost to the same team.
And with Purdy, they lost twice to the Chiefs. Garoppolo signed a big extension that year, was considered their franchise quarterback, had an undefeated record in New England prior to coming to San Francisco. They lose because of some questionable coaching decisions. You then bring in Brock Purdy, who's this what do you want to say? Yeah, knight in shining armor. Who knew? King Arthur pulling out the sword, the chosen one, right? And some questionable coaching decisions. They lose that game.
So I have another list of football games, because obviously that was just at the biggest stage, was that. But we've also seen the Vikings come back from a 33-0 deficit.
Against the Bills.
Yep.
That was a few years ago, yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was the Colts.
Sorry, Colts. You were
Then,
right. I apologize.
San Francisco came back against the Detroit Lions.
Yep.
I think that was a playoff game.
They were down 17 in the NFC Championship a couple years ago. At half.
And then we also saw miracle plays like the Miami Miracle against New England. In that instance where it's like they first of all they put Gronk in at like safety,
Thinking it was going to be a Hail Mary.
right? And do you blame that on the coach, or do you? That's a mix of both, in my opinion.
You made a decision, and if it was a Hail Mary, it was a great decision.
Yeah,
It just wasn't.
just a bad.
That's why they call it a miracle.
It's a 50-50. But yeah,
I would say this though, and I think going back off of the Matt Ryan thing, MVP of the league, but we had a conversation. I don't know if we were on air, or you'll have to let me know if we had it off air. We were talking about Hall of Fame quarterbacks, and if someone has a losing record, can they be a Hall of Fame quarterback?
That was last week on air.
Was it on air?
I believe so.
And we were talking about, I think it was Phillip Rivers.
That was last week, yeah.
And then we brought up the point where, well, will some of these other quarterbacks be there? And I said, you know what? There are times where you're just in a generation of good quarterbacks. It doesn't mean you're a bad one.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll remember you if you break through and do something, but it doesn't mean you're a bad quarterback if you don't do it the other years. We've had Tom Brady for 20 years. We've had Peyton Manning for plus years. We now had Aaron Rodgers. Patrick Mahomes is on the come up. There were miscellaneous quarterbacks all around throughout that had good seasons. Matt Ryan was no scrub.
No.
4 years. He was not a scrub. Do I blame him 100%? No. But could he have changed the play?
Yep.
He was at a place where he could have changed the call.
And I'm sure he'll come out and say, like, well, I did change some plays.
Yeah.
He probably did. We
Yeah.
just don't know, you know?
It's just there was one or two he could have changed that he didn't. And that's where we're questioning. But by no means is anybody putting that loss on him.
No.
Yeah,
That is a Shanahan
if he changed
loss.
one specifically, because I think it ended up being a sack. It might have been the strip sack, but they could have ran the ball and been in field goal range and added to the lead.
Was it 2 sacks back to back?
It might have been.
Because there was,
Might have been.
remember, it was the only thing, because they were saying, we were watching, the only thing Matt Ryan can't do is take a sack. Even if he threw the ball away, because I think it was second down. You live to play another down. Yeah, the clock stops, but you live to play another down, and you didn't take the sack.
Right. You could always punt.
You can always punt. Now we're going back further, and you did it twice, to the point where you couldn't even kick the field goal. You're out of field goal range. I think that's the issue it was. They put him out of field goal range. You stay in field goal range and hit that, you might have been a Super Bowl champion.
So, funny
potentially
thing about
Hall
that
of
Super Bowl, me, Tommy, and Mikey and Will were watching it together at it was at one of our other buddies' houses. It was a big party.
Uh-huh.
Tommy was celebrating super early because he hates the Patriots, and he was just saying, you know,
do that, man.
no, it was 28-3 at that time, and Mikey said they're going to come back and win because they're talking so much shit.
I got story time for you after this one.
And Tommy made a bet that he would run around WestCon naked around the whole campus if the Patriots won. And they won, and they have it on video, him doing it.
Oh.
It's called porn.
That's called blackmail.
So, y'all were at a friend's house. I was actually downtown Atlanta for this because my cousin lives. He had a place downtown, about 3 blocks away from the Phillips Arena, but pretty close to Mercedes-Benz. And let me tell you, the night before, everyone was, Falcons are going to win, Patriots didn't see anybody like the Falcons, yada yada. I got drinks, I got shots, I got money up for this game. So we're coming down from New England and Atlanta. I know we got Tom Brady, we had Julian Edelman, we had a great team. I'm like, we got this. Everyone doubled down to halftime. It was 28 threes, getting these text messages, whatever. People are going crazy in the streets in Atlanta. And then the comeback happened. And let me tell you, that Atlanta, I don't ever remember it being as quiet walking out of there as it was after they lost. You could just hear, you could drop a pin. The bars emptied. There weren't people swearing. Nobody was fighting. People were just shocked at what they witnessed. They witnessed history, don't get me wrong.
They're heartbroken.
But their hearts broke. You couldn't even hear the police sirens. I'm sure they only had the lights on with no noise. Like, that's how bad it was in Atlanta. I was cheering because obviously I'm a Pats fan. I loved it. I went to the gym the next day. I collected on every bet. My friend Josh to this day still hates me because he had to pay me for it. But no, it was a sight to witness. And
weren't you looking out the window chirping too?
Oh, I was chirping out the window too. I was those obnoxious Atlanta fans. Oh, I loved it. It was great.
Could you hear all the yelling when they were up?
Yeah. So I will say this. We were at our cousin's house, so he's on like the 8th floor of his apartment building. They sold it since, but he's on the 8th floor, and you could hear the people in the bars screaming, random homeless people on the street cheering for the Falcons. Everybody's windows down, blasting "Go Falcons" or whatever their cheer is. They don't really care, but their cheers. Everyone's got their Julio Jones jersey. Matt Ryan, great quarterback, but people still wearing Julio Jones jerseys. You couldn't get a ticket to the game. You couldn't even get within the arena. People were ready to party. Bars had specials when the Falcons win. Some drinks will be free. We'll give half-off bills. Like, everybody thought they were going to win. And the dejection afterwards was great. As a Pats fan.
So
It was great.
I know everyone's now wondering, where was Nick during this Super Bowl? So let me tell you. I was performing matrimonial duties during this Super Bowl. And so I pop out from completing matrimonial duties, and Raymond Alford, I believe is his name, who had the pick six against Brady.
Yep.
And I think that made it 28-3, if I remember right. Or it might have been 21-3 at the time,
I think
whatever.
21. One of those, yeah.
And so I'm like, damn. Because I remember, because I walked like to get like a drink, and I just see Brady like do the slow motion one-handed dive attempt. And I was like, oh shit, pick six. Dude, they're getting blown out. What the hell? I'm not watching this. So I returned to performing matrimonial duties, and I come back out, and it's Edelman catching that pass.
It's crazy.
And I was like, how the fuck did this happen? And then I was asked to return, and I was like, I have to watch the rest of this game. I'm sorry. Hold on a sec. And then, of course, they went to overtime, and
The rest is history.
the rest is history. And I was like, wow. And I promised myself I will never miss another Super Bowl again. Because I missed the vast majority of it. And, yeah. So that's where Nick was.
Well, they still play it on loop every year.
So
Yeah.
what's crazy about like a lot of the Patriots Super Bowls before we move on to the next topic is that there was always some kind of, starting with like the Giants Super Bowl, there was always some crazy
Some
catch.
tomfuckery.
Yeah, there was some crazy catch, whether it was the Mario Manningham or then in the Seahawks Super Bowl. Malcolm Butler, but at first it was Baldwin where he was juggling it on the ground. He thought it was going to happen to him.
Oh, the Jermaine Kearse catch.
Yes.
At the 5. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. That's what's great.
Yeah, and you thought that it was game over for the Pats, and then Malcolm Butler one-upped it, and then it was the
yeah.
Julian Edelman catch. At first you thought it was the Julio Jones toe tap.
Which was
Insane.
insane.
Yeah.
Until the catch.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So
that was the crazy. The Edelman catch to this day, I don't think a catch like that will ever happen again.
You know, I will
And
say
and there's a
type
lot
of
of great
magnitude.
catches in that Philly Super Bowl.
that goes to technology, though, you have to look at. Because I
Yeah.
wonder at times, had we gone back 10 years before that, if they would have made that a catch.
The Edelman one,
Yeah. I mean, thankfully the ref said it, but if they challenged that,
it was high def for sure. However, Palomalu, because I'm such an avid Steelers fan, I always know these plays. In two circumstances, once against the Eagles, the other was a snow
Oh,
game.
his diving interception.
His diving
The
one-hander, and
oh my God.
that was in like 2008, so I
Was
believe that
sickest
they would have been
things
able to
ever.
find that. They would have been able to see that. However, in the 70s, when there was less camera angles and all those 70s, 80s, 90s, maybe not.
Yeah,
That's
they
what-
probably
that's-
would have called that an incomplete.
and that's
Yeah.
the thing. So, you know, it's pretty cool, though.
To this day, they still say Franco Harris hit the ground.
They threw out that tape. I don't want to hear it. No, right now, that's not what history
But,
says.
you know, that's what we want to see. Like,
Right.
In the biggest stage, we want to see stars be stars.
Yeah.
That's all fans ever asked for. And in that game, in order for them to win, we got to see stars be stars. And unfortunately, Atlanta, you lost, but we did get to see some of your stars be stars. We saw Julio. We walked away from that game looking at Julio Jones as, oh my God.
Yeah.
He had to do something. He did it. The whole game. Edelman had to make a catch. He made a catch. Tom Brady had to move the ball down the field and make good. You could say the same thing when they were playing the Chiefs in the comeback. And then what happened? They get the ball in overtime. Defense. We unlaced our shoes. We knew we were good. Crazy. Stars being stars.
So,
Saw the Birds be stars last year.
I don't even know if that was a game.
Oh, that's a game
Yeah,
for us. We played.
Just
Yeah.
took me to the woodshed.
I'm going to say that was about as entertaining as the Pro Bowl.
Literally.
That's called a chicken Philly.
Literally.
So, moving on to a sport that we haven't covered yet.
Oh God.
The Australian Football League. Just to set the stage for anybody that hasn't seen this, last weekend was the first time I've ever watched it, and it happened because my Amazon Fire Stick just changed the channel on me, and I was like, what in the world am I watching? It seemed like it was a mix of hockey because I saw somebody get punched in the face. I saw ultimate frisbee in a way because it's just a weird field and people were just jumping up and over people. There's so many people on the field at one time. There's 18 people per team.
That's crazy.
So 36 active players on the field.
That sounds wrong.
Like, why? Like, why?
It's played on an oval-shaped field that's absolutely massive. And to score, and I didn't look up any rules whatsoever. This was all just me figuring it out as we went. To run down the basic, in order to pass the ball, you could either punt it to your teammate, or you can punch it out of your hand to your teammate.
Yeah, like a volleyball serve.
Yeah, it has to. Yeah, it's really bizarre.
Yeah.
Number 2, if you're free running with the ball, you have every 15 meters you need to dribble, like a basketball. So you got to bounce it to yourself. Yes.
Need to know the metric system.
Facts.
You can tell that by the striping on the field, though.
Also another reason we don't have it in America. Continue.
Then, anytime that you punt it to your teammate and it's caught, it's a free kick. So it's like soccer, where you have to get back, or penalty in rugby, where you have to get back a certain amount of yards, and then they can either pass it, run it, or kick it to their teammate again. Very weird. It's played with a football/rugby shaped pigskin thing. It had the big McDonald's logo. To be fair, it's an Australian league, but there's a lot of American sponsors on these jerseys. There's Ford was sponsoring. There was McDonald's.
Multinational.
Yeah. So.
That's how we're gonna call it.
So and then scoring was there's 3 sets of goalposts. The middle one, if you kick it through there, it's worth 6 points, like a touchdown. There's no extra point, no nothing. If it hits the post, no matter if it goes in the goal or not, it's 1 point. Or if it goes through the 2 outside posts, like just through them, it's 1 point each.
Oh, it's like Quidditch.
Yeah, I guess.
Sounds good. That's fair.
I guess you could consider it the ground version of Quidditch, and there's tackling involved. So I guess being that I was slightly entertained, I don't know how much I'd be returning to it, but I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on it and if we think we should be covering it more often on our podcast.
You want to start with it?
If it means that there will be more Outback Steakhouses, because the one in our town closed.
Oh, good. I had that experience.
Then fine, I'll start watching Aussie Rules football. It's just so complicated. You have punch passing, you have kicking, you have people who jump leading with their knees, like Street Fighter, to climb over the top of a defender to catch the ball, which then stops play for them to kick the ball. And then, also when they score, I believe the referee takes it and closes his eyes and just throws it.
Wait. Yeah. So anytime that there's a tackle, the referee needs to come in and throw it up in the air, like a jump ball.
Literally, he just not even a jump ball, because jump ball goes straight in the air.
Yeah.
He just fucking throws it.
Wait. They can't see it.
it.
They can't see it, but our first live one, you need to remind me to do this. They literally get so into when they score, they go like this.
He yeets the ball like Jey Uso. Just yeet, right?
And then after a real score, they go to the middle of the field and they throw it against the ground as hard as possible and it bounces in the air.
And that's how they restart play.
Yeah.
So there's spikes, there's referee yeets, there's free kicks, there's punch passing, there's short shorts. They don't even the jerseys are pretty cool because they have the sleeveless jersey thing going on.
It's a mix of rugby soccer style.
Yeah, and the game is played on an oval. It's an oval.
It's an oblong field.
It's like a cricket pitch, and there's 3 sets of goalposts with no crossbar. It's just fucking sticks standing up like this, and then each goal is worth whatever the fuck. And the scoring is so complicated because if you hit the bar, you get a point. If you make it through one side, it's a different amount of points. The middle one's the most points. That's the one you got to go for. But if it hits the ground before it clears, it don't count. I think,
Yeah.
or some shit. Or you could like rub it in like, for another set of points. It's just too much, too foreign. But I mean, credit to Australia. You got a sport, and whatever. I don't care. I personally wouldn't watch it. I mean, unless we're all watching it, then fuck it, sure. But I mean,
I would like to see it in person.
I wouldn't.
I think.
What just happened?
I think Nick's best reference to the game was before we got live. And Nick's like, it's basically competitive kill the carrier. Is basically what it looks like. I personally didn't understand it as we were watching it.
With Australian accents.
Yeah, facts. I was a little confused. I didn't know. I was like, oh, he got head tapped.
Yeah.
With the catch, and then all of a sudden, play stopped. And I was like, oh, is it a foul? Like, no, it just stops. So, I mean, if you grow up with it, maybe. But there's too many rules for me to follow. As you guys know, I struggle with hockey, so this sure as hell is not happening. But I don't see it take. This is the problem when spring, summer come around here in the U.S. We have no sports to watch. They put random stuff on TV. We saw people. ESPN 3 needs to go away at some points. Because the other day, what were we watching?
I think this was on FS1.
It was the dudes going up the blow-up stairs with
slippery
the
stairs.
Slippery stairs.
Yeah, that's the Ocho.
Then we saw the Guitar World Series or whatever. Air Guitar World Series was on TV.
That's some bullshit.
When I walked into the bar, I'm like, what is going on? And expand the sports.
It's a
So we
sports
have
bar
more
and you're
to
watching
watch.
air guitar.
But, I think that's what happens during the summer. Our sports aren't really on. It's just baseball, which is fine. But when we want more, we're stuck with what other people have. And that's why people go to the beach during the summer, so they don't have to deal with it.
One last point that I'll make. The team names suck.
Yeah, they're pretty bad.
What are they?
Okay, so we have the Adelaide Crows.
Okay, we'll stop there.
The Brisbane Lions. That's pretty cool. The Carlton Blues.
The
Yes,
Brisbane
Carlton,
Lions
like
actually was one of the teams that I was
Carlton
watching.
Blues?
Yes, the Carlton Blues. I'm going to try to do it in my Aussie accent there.
There we go. We're offending a whole bunch of other people
The
today.
Collingwood Magpies.
Who?
The Collingwood Magpies.
Culling or Colin?
Colling. Like Colin, like Collin. Wood,
Oh, so it's someone's name?
I guess. Magpies.
What is a magpie?
Fuck should I know?
If you Google it, don't click images.
That's a
He's gonna look it up.
I don't know what it is.
We have the Essendon Bombers. We have the Fremantle Dockers. The Dockers, yeah, like the pants. That's a team name. The Geelong Cats.
It's a bird.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's what a magpie is?
Yeah.
That's not what I thought it was.
It looks like it's a black and white bird.
So we have the Gold Coast Suns, the
actually pretty
GWS
cool looking.
Giants,
Yeah.
Hawthorn Hawks, the Melbourne Demons,
Oh, no, it's blue, too.
the North Melbourne Kangaroos,
Well, it's Australia. Someone's got to be
of course,
Kangaroos.
the Port Adelaide Power, Richmond Tigers, the St Kilda Saints.
St. Kilda Saints?
Yes,
Who does Saints kill?
the Saints.
Oh, okay.
The Sydney Swans, the West Coast Eagles, and the Western Bulldogs, mate.
Yeah.
Not the mate part, but yeah. So they have Crows, Blues, Magpies, Bombers, Dockers, pants. The Docker
Does it
pants.
say pants?
Wait, yeah, and
Docker?
Swans.
Oh, God. That's
Yeah, the Fremantle Dockers. Right there around the back of the pitch, mate.
Wow.
Quite impressive there. All
So,
that's my Aussie
it
accent.
was
Thank you.
definitely-
Be here all week.
It was, in my opinion, it was definitely. I watched 2 full games,
I'm so sorry for your
I
loss.
was gonna say the same thing.
but I was entertained. It was something.
Wait, can we bet on it?
You can bet on anything.
Hold, Cam, fill it with white noise for a second so I can.
No, so, I mean, again, I think if it's a sport
Can we bet on
we
it?
grew up
Because
with,
I'll start watching.
I can't even feel this. Like,
Go ahead.
if you can see their faces, Nick is literally thrilled. He's something new he can bet on. But no, I think again, if it was something we grew up with, because it goes back to our conversation we had a few weeks ago. Is there a sport that could overturn the Big Four? I don't think this is one of them. I don't even think this would be top 5, top 6.
Fuck no.
Again, too many rules. But then again, we didn't grow up with it, so I don't know
True.
if it would be easier to understand had we been playing it. But I'm not sure what the betting would look like on this. I'm not sure how stats are kept.
I have no idea.
Yes, you can bet on it. It's on DraftKings.
Okay,
Oh,
I
here we
will
go.
be. Yep. All right, so
Carlton Blues. I just started recognizing the team names that you just ranted off. Yes, you can
Yes.
bet on it.
So
Alright,
basically,
so-
when we go to the casino in a few months, I want you to have them put this on the TV.
I'm so down.
So we
Getting
can
those
watch
real comfy chairs. They got really good nachos.
Go into what's it called? It's called FanDuel.
Oh,
Well, the DraftKings one is at Fox.
excuse me, but I just saw. I'm looking through some of these spreads. The Magpies are favored by 55.5 points.
Yeah, I saw one of the scores. It was like 72 to like 30 something.
Yeah.
How are points
55
scored?
point favorite. What's so if they cover the spread, what's it paying out?
It's 115 odds.
I might take the cover.
You don't even know the sport.
Yeah, but 55 fucking points. I mean, come on.
That's a degenerate
Just
move.
punch the ball in the crowd.
It's out of bounds.
It's a running clock, isn't it? Just fucking
I don't know.
It is.
Another
It
one.
is a
Punches.
running clock. Nah, it's like 4 quarters
Punch
to
the
play
ball.
too. Like it's
12. How long are quarters?
that I didn't pay
I think
attention
like
to.
20 minutes maybe.
It might be.
Because right, a rugby match is 80 minutes.
But this
yeah.
isn't rugby.
But it has a lot of.
It's not even soccer.
It's not even.
They
It's
also.
not even handball.
I think they play
It's not
this.
even Australia.
Yeah, basically.
I think they play this. I think it's like Gaelic football in Ireland too. It's very similar.
I don't think so, to be
I-
honest, because they had that on Saturdays, and I've watched a little of it. This looked like a lot different.
I don't know, man.
Anyway,
It's too much football.
Yeah, too much weirdness.
all right. So let's move on to our last two general topics before we get into some just news that happened over the past few weeks that we haven't covered.
Let's do it.
So, NHL playoffs just wrapped up. Obviously, me and Nick are not very happy with the result. Florida kind of looked they just looked like the better team, and they put in all the effort, and they were getting. I wouldn't say necessarily that. The goaltending was absolutely atrocious.
Yep. They need a new goalie.
Yeah. I think they're literally a goaltender away from winning. That's not the easiest thing to replace by any means, but I'm just going to open it up with what are both of your thoughts?
I will defer my comments because I was so excited for this topic because obviously I was at the bar when they lost. Not for them to lose, but I wanted to hear both of your reactions to the loss because Nick was very high on Edmonton.
And I tripled down
You
on him.
tripled down on it. I obviously eeny, meeny, miny, moe to team, and then went with you guys on it. But I am curious, what were your immediate reactions after the game, and how we are a few weeks later? What are your thoughts? I want to know from both of you guys.
Nick, I'll let you start. Just
So, Edmonton.
So I know that kicked off your bad week, right?
Yeah,
Okay, sorry.
sure did.
We'll talk after.
Yeah. Too many penalties, especially in the early onset of games. They were, I believe, Florida had scored multiple power play goals in the first period of multiple games. You just can't win like that. You're basically setting yourself back 2 goals. Their goalkeeper, Skinner, trash.
all playoffs, really.
Yeah, I think he was being, maybe not shadowed, I don't know if that's the right word, but hidden by how well Edmonton's front line was playing. They have elite wingers and an elite centerman. Their defense, they need, not to say that they need new defensemen, but I think too many penalties, especially from Evander Kane.
Yeah.
Who's the other one? Neiman? Is that his name? Neiman? So one of them was on like the first or second line
Yeah.
and committed so many penalties, he got moved to the 4th defensive line. Like the 2 starting defenders, then the second set,
Thank you for
third set,
explaining
then
because I
the,
had
Yeah.
no
sorry.
clue what you were
Cam
saying.
looked at me like I was a straight crackhead. He was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah,
are you
the
talking
average
about?"
hockey team has 4 lines, and it's 5 sets of players.
Okay.
And, yeah.
Yeah. So your forward line is your center man and your 2 wingers.
Okay.
Then defensive line is your two defensemen.
You guys will find out. They talk to me about sports I don't know like I do know. So when you
Yeah,
see
so
my,
I literally just
you'll see my faces on
he
mine.
legit just was like, the fuck?
You'll see my live faces.
But yeah, so he played so poorly. He got moved to the fourth line. It was just a lack of discipline at very key moments, and Skinner just played two really bad games when he really didn't need to play two really bad games.
And he was getting beat in the same spot.
Same spot.
Every time. Top left.
Or stick side.
Yeah.
Stick side, top left. Because he was holding the stick in his right hand. So, left side of the goal.
I have more questions on this one. I know Matt wants to say something.
At some point, it seemed like the defense gave up on Skinner for Edmonton. Like, once he started letting in goals, they just stopped putting in effort. And they would try to make a run, and they would be like, they were leading in shots a lot of the series. And, Bobrovsky on the other side was just night and day compared to Skinner. And then when Pritchard came in, it sparked Edmonton, at least for a game, or even the second half of the game that they were getting shit on in.
Yeah. Like in Game 4, when they were down 3-0.
Yeah.
First period.
Came back,
won 5-4 in overtime to make it 2-2. Sorry, pulled in a burp. 2 games to 2.
That was an awesome game.
I'm like, 2 out of 3 now. 2 of those games are going to be in Edmonton.
We're looking great.
We're looking great. And then they got hit by a Florida Panther storm, man.
Yeah.
They just got crushed. And to Florida's credit, they are the defending champs. They acquired Brad Marchand.
Biggest player of the...
And he is a little asshole, and he plays like it. But he's got the heart of a champion. And that was very evident.
And he hasn't won since his rookie year with Boston.
With Boston, yeah. And he was the glue, that missing piece for a repeat. They went out and got him, and they just... Also, Florida played much more aggressively the last 2 games. They just looked like the more motivated and focused team.
They played faster, harder, more physical.
Connor McDavid did what he could.
They took him out of every game.
Yeah.
He scored one goal.
He was trying to create... I think he was trying to create for others when he should have been creating for himself.
Yeah.
Too many times he would stop, cut, flick.
Yeah.
Or he would start, deke, and then defer.
Yeah. And a lot of times he was deking into 2 people because he couldn't get anything in his spacing.
There was one key play. I don't remember if it was Game 5 or Game 4. He's coming down, and he was flying. He dekes past the defender, dekes again, and instead of lifting the puck, he tries to shovel it past the goalkeeper, and he kicks it away with his foot. And I was like, it was just like
I believe that was Game 5.
And I was like, he just can't get it done.
Yeah.
And it was like, that was kind of like that moment, like no matter what he does, I think they're just going to come up short.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. And this is my last question. I know Matt's moderating, but I like to know this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You were very high on Edmonton.
Yes.
All series. They've got everything. They've got this. They've got that. We then go into the Stanley Cup finals.
Yes.
Now I'm hearing all the issues, we'll say. Mm-hmm. Are these issues masked because they just weren't as good as this team? Or they could get away with it versus the other teams, just couldn't do it against this team? Or is Florida that much better than them?
So my take on it is that I think was it Game 2 or Game 3 that Florida won 6-1?
3.
Once it got to Game 3, I was thinking this might be an issue with goaltending. I was hoping that Skinner was just going to shake it off, but he didn't. And it just continued to, like, what did he get? He started Game 4 and then got pulled, and then they won with Pritchard.
Yes.
So he let up 3 goals in the first period. I had a feeling that Edmonton was going to come back and win that game just because of the way that they ended the first period. It seemed like that they were getting into it.
And plus 2 of those goals, they scored on a 5-on-3.
Yes.
And then the third goal, they missed a high stick on Florida, which then led to an assist to the goal.
We had mentioned that in our chat.
But
But
still, giving up 3 goals in the first period.
And Evander Kane and the penalties that he was talking about. Evander Kane, I was literally thinking, like, what are you doing? It was like right after he came out of the penalty box, he committed another penalty. Mm. It's just like, dude, this is not the time to be doing that. Edmonton's offense was elite the entire postseason, and it just seemed like they lost chemistry and confidence towards the end of that. I thought they were going to turn it around after they came back from 3-0, but they couldn't get it done in the game in Game 5, and there was no
So
hopes.
if you're Edmonton, do you run it back, same team, or do you need to go out and get a goalie?
You gotta go get a goalie.
Gotta get a goalie.
Yeah.
And you probably should consider trading for a defenseman.
Is it
Yes.
possible he just had a
defenseman.
bad Stanley Cup final?
Yes.
And
True.
Or
Well, Skinner was there last year, and it was a similar situation. I was hoping that he was going to get past it this year, being that Edmonton also had home ice advantage, and Florida had been playing on the road, I think, the whole playoffs. It seemed like Florida wasn't as good of a team as they were last year.
Also, 3 of those first 4 games went to overtime.
Yeah.
So how much of this would we put on the coach?
Less on the coach.
I'd say a portion, because I think... I mean, it's kind of tough, because when the penalties defensively started occurring, it was already Game 5, Game 6.
Yeah.
So you're already deep into a series. But, if you're noticing Skinner gave up at least 3 goals in every game.
Yep.
Except for Game 6, I think. He didn't even play, right? They put in Pritchard for the last 2 games. So
switching a goalie in the middle of a Stanley Cup playoffs is hard enough.
It's wild, yeah. So I think part of it is, I think maybe the adjustments were made too late. Or, they were made in the middle of the game to try to mitigate, but it just didn't work.
Because the intensity from the second half of Game 4 was not kept by any means into Game 5 or Game 6.
Yeah. I think, and also, too, I think Edmonton was worn out. I think they were just...
They were playing from behind almost the whole series.
Mm-hmm. And then a lot of that has to do with they committed too many penalties, gave up too many power play goals.
I would turn the game on and it would already be 1-0.
Yeah.
It'd be like the first 2 or 3 shots of the game, there was a goal scored.
So I think they pigeonholed themselves.
Yeah.
Now, this is credit to Florida. They continued to play. They proved that they were the more durable team. They were able to continue to play at that pace. And when push came to shove, they got it done.
And Brad Marchand, shout out to him. He played absolutely amazing.
Played amazing.
So
probably going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
Now they got to.
He just showed. He basically carried that team.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they also had elite goal scoring in the postseason.
For sure, but he was a big part of scoring those goals, at least in.
Yeah. He hit the game winner.
Yeah.
The double overtime game. So.
Yeah, that was a 2-goal game he had too.
Yes, it was.
So shout out to him.
But Connor, you're still the best all-around player in the league, in my opinion. But I think you need 1 or 2 more players. But I'm still going to be high on Edmonton for the next couple of seasons. They got a great team. It's just what it is. And Florida now going for the 3-peat dynasty potentially. So we'll see what happens next year.
So, who's on the Rangers as their backup goalie? Price?
Oh, I have no idea. I don't watch the Rangers.
Okay. For some reason, I thought you were a Rangers fan.
Flyers.
My fault. Okay. Forget what I asked.
Trashola. That's why I started watching Edmonton.
All right, moving on. We're going to switch to the NBA.
Wait.
Yes.
Live update.
Okay. This is mid-game?
Yeah.
Halliburton carted off with a Achilles injury.
Oh, wow. And the Pacers are up.
Pacers up 1 at halftime.
He's done.
And he fought through. He looked pretty good in Game 6.
Well, he was dealing with the calf.
That's
the same KD injury.
That's what happened to KD. It was calf.
And he hit 3 threes in the first quarter, Halliburton.
He was cooking.
And then... So
we'll see if Mathurin can step up. Because Matherin's cooked a couple of times in the series.
You don't just got to be good for 1 half. We're not asking you to be good for the game anymore. You just got to be good for half. But now, to me, this goes on Rick Carlisle. This is all coaching going forward.
They're up 1 at
Neesmith is going to have a huge game.
Everyone needs to do a little bit of something.
And Siakam.
Siakam has 10 points on 3 of 7.
not
Nemhard
great.
has 9 points off the bench, 3 of 6.
If Nimhard can lock down
Matherin has
SGA
8 points off.
Nemhard's been doing an unbelievable job on SGA.
SGA is 5 of 12.
with how many?
16 total points, 6 of 6 from the line, but he has 7 assists.
How many fouls does Nimhard have?
Nemhard has 2.
That's not bad. At
Neesmith 2,
halftime.
McConnell 2, and they played Bradley, who has 2 fouls.
Interesting.
All right, so
Sorry, just want to give you.
obviously this is an update on Game 7. Just for context of where we are.
Indiana's
In the
24 minutes away.
Yeah.
That is true.
Nick has made the pick. I don't know if you also bet OKC previously in the playoffs.
Bet wise, well, I mean, I did have Minnesota beating them in the
Yeah.
conference finals, which obviously happened.
Yeah.
Clearly, but no, I did pick Indiana after game 3.
Okay. So, it's come to fruition where now it's 3-3.
Yeah.
Pacers are up 1 at halftime. This is a series that honestly went further than I think we all thought from the
Yes.
beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I had initially given, if there was any game that was going to be won, it was going to be game 1 by the Pacers. And then I thought it was going to be a clean sweep after that. One or two, both of you gave the Pacers 2 wins. That being said, we're at a Game 7. It's been a really good series for 2 small market teams that aren't getting much viewers. I'm watching, other than now since we're doing the podcast, but we'll probably catch the second half when we're done. That being said, what's your reaction? I'll start with Nick on this. What's your reaction to the Pacers bringing it to the Game 7, and what do you expect now that we've gotten breaking news on Halliburton injury? How does that change the dynamic of the Pacers?
Interestingly enough, throughout the course of the series, there are points where Halliburton will spend significant amounts of time on the bench, whether that's for rest purposes, and the Pacers somehow still play efficient enough. They're getting a ton of contributions from TJ McConnell. Obi Toppin has come up big.
Huge.
Matherin. Their bench has really, again, Carlisle has consistently played 9, 10 players the whole postseason. He was going deep to his bench against Milwaukee, Cleveland, the Knicks, and now Oklahoma City. So it's been a consistent philosophy from Rick Carlisle, who is a future Hall of Fame coach in his own right. And I believe he actually has the advantage over OKC's coach that I don't think we really touched on enough with how much experience he has.
Young guy.
Obviously, with Halliburton going down, from an emotional standpoint and a morale standpoint, it absolutely sucks. But you have a champion in Pascal Siakam. You have talented players that are young and hungry that have put in a lot of work too. You know, aside from Halliburton hitting that game winner in game 1, you could argue he hasn't really played to a superstar level, which is fair because he pretty much hasn't. He was off to a great start tonight, so we really won't know what he would have done, unfortunately.
That's almost.
I'll tell you what, because I think we have one other subtopic to talk about after this. If Oklahoma City were to lose this game, now that some dominoes have fallen, I don't know what the hell they're going to do.
I have a sub question here. Let's say Indiana wins this game because they've had equal contributions from a lot of people. Who would the MVP be?
Well, I don't think it can any longer go to Halliburton.
It's probably going to be Siakam.
To me,
Siakam's only had one really good game.
I'm going to go out on a limb. And I'm going to say,
McConnell.
McConnell.
I would say McConnell, or you could make an argument to give it to
Nemhard.
Nimhart or
Neesmith.
Obi.
to me, the only player who's really been consistent every game is McConnell.
TJ McConnell.
You know, obviously his scoring's not going to be there compared to the other players. But if you look at what he's contributed to the game, Nimhard, the defense he's had to play on SGA. Now, SGA's still getting 20, 30s. It's irrelevant. That's still happening. But it's the Kobe rule, the Jordan rule.
How many shots are you putting up?
Exactly, and that's the argument I made the other day. You can get 30 points on 30 shots. Go for it. But you're missing a hell of a lot of shots, and we'll take that. So if they win, so for MVP purposes, I think you can give it. It probably will go to Halliburton. but it could go to anybody on the team. I'd be okay with anybody getting it.
We should give it to Rick Carlisle.
To be honest,
Yeah.
Rick Carlisle, if you could give it to a coach,
Yeah.
Do you think that this could be the first season that we see in a long time the losing team get MVP?
no.
No, I would think
There's nobody on the losing team that we could justify giving it to.
Yeah.
Even though SGA is averaging 30?
But he's not on a good percentage.
True.
No.
You see,
And Nemhard is bothering him a lot.
the problem is
Canadian
the
teammates.
last time we would have seen it when LeBron was lost to the Warriors and put up great numbers.
Yeah.
And like, we should give it to LeBron. If we didn't do it to LeBron,
It shouldn't be.
we're not doing it to anybody else.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Unless they're averaging 50 on a
And
great percentage.
they'd have to be like legit good, like 50, 40, 90 in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Speaking of LeBron, this McConnell performance reminds me eerily of, I don't know if you guys remember Della Dodova,
Matthew Dellavedova, yeah.
that 2016 year,
Yeah.
who was a spark off the bench
Mm-hmm.
and helped spur his team. Now, I mean, obviously the Pacers weren't down 3-1, but I don't know. It seems very eerily similar, and it might come down to, Indiana having the ball and having to make a shot to seal the game.
Well, you were asking a question before, and I was hoping we were going to touch on it. What do we do if Indiana wins this game?
If Indiana wins this game,
Well, it's funny
Yeah.
because I still believe this. I think the youth of OKC, even if they find a way to come back and win this game, which actually I do expect them to do, I still think their youth would have been a problem. Your only experienced player with championship experience that we're looking at is
Caruso.
Yep.
We expected and hoped players would play well. Chet has not.
No.
Jalen Williams has had some phenomenal games,
he's had two
but he's
really
looked
good games.
really bad in some of his other games. Your shooters coming off the bench have been decent, but they're not getting the minutes.
Right.
You traded for Hartenstein, who's been decent, but the mismatches it's been limited with what you've gotten out of him. Whereas on Indiana, you have players who know their role and know their position. The total youth of OKC is scary, but if they lose, we're going to look at their youth and say that's why they lost. Whereas with Indiana, we'll say, okay, new coach, knew that, all youth. Indiana, we're like, you've got experienced players. Yes, only one NBA champion, but Miles Turner's been in the league for a long time. Mathurin, you can make an argument Mathurin being hurt last year is the reason they could be back-to-back Eastern Conference champions. You can make the argument Mathurin has been a huge lift for them. Obi has known his role. He shoots a through too many threes, but knows his role. And the players know their role because they're NBA players who've been there before. OKC, outside of SGA and Caruso, and even Hartenstein to an extent, the other players haven't been in the league that long. This is what, Chet's second year? Because he sat out the first year?
He was injured his rookie year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's an interesting scenario. And SGA was the trade for Paul George coming from the Clippers.
He got traded also on draft night, too, didn't he?
SGA?
Yeah.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yes, because Kawhi wanted Paul George in LA.
Did he go to OKC first?
Who?
SGA.
No, he was a Clipper
He was in
first.
Clippers.
Clipper.
For like a...
Well, he got
Imagine him being on the Clippers right now.
Kawhi and James Harden.
That's why trading young players can go either way. Or you may not need James Harden.
Oh, sorry. Excuse me. He was drafted by the Hornets and traded day one.
Yeah. Drafted by the Hornets.
To the
traded
Clippers.
to the Clippers. Played in the playoffs that year. I think they were playing OKC. The Warriors. And after that series they lost, he got traded to OKC.
Yeah.
And he has been a star ever since.
Yeah.
Well, actually, let's not say star. He's been really good, and now that we've watched him do it for a while, now he is a star.
Yeah. So, it seems like OKC's pulling away already. They're up by 5 now.
Up by 5.
But
they ain't pulling away.
it seems like it might head that direction. Obviously, we're not watching the game actively right now. We're just sort of monitoring the score here. But to stay in the NBA, let's talk about the Kevin Durant trade that happened this past week. I think we were discussing it was 5 second-round picks. Dylan Brooks, Who was the other player?
Jalen Green.
Jalen Green, right? That's the big.
And
And
the 10th overall pick.
And the 10th overall pick
this year. Yep.
And he was traded. This is to the Houston Rockets.
Yes.
I don't want to ask who's the winner and loser of the trade. We do that every time. Does this give Houston their last piece to win the championship? Or do the two players that they traded, not necessarily Brooks, does Jalen Green leaving hurt them? Cam, I'm starting with you because you're the biggest KD pusher around.
I love Kevin Durant.
So, hit me.
I think when we looked at the play, and it's hard looking in the playoffs and judging something based off of what we're seeing with people who've never been there. I like the trade to an extent. I'm not sold on it. I like it in the sense of we've talked all playoffs when we were there. I think Sengun is a budding star. I think he's very good. I think him, Kevin Durant, Fred VanVleet, I think that could be really nice. The issue the Rockets had was scoring. Scoring will not be an issue for them in the playoffs going forward. Now it's going to be, can Ime Udoka take the youth that he has and use it around Kevin Durant? Jalen Green is a very good player. Phoenix got what they wanted. They wanted a young, up-and-coming player that they can put with Booker or build around. Dylan Brooks, I think he's getting cut from Phoenix. I don't think they want that headache. He'll go somewhere else.
He ain't a scorer anyway.
He's just someone to help throw in and probably make the money work. 5 second-round picks. I don't mind, only because Houston's a young team, so you're not keeping all your picks anyway. You're gonna send people to the G League. Get rid of them. You're trying to win now while your window is now. Does it push you over the hump? No. I still think there are other teams better. I'll say it again, I would have rather Kevin Durant go to Denver and play some Michael Porter, because he was god-awful in the playoffs this year.
It was brutal to
I know
watch.
we looked at, I was not a fan of this, but there were a lot of Knicks fans who wanted Kevin Durant, because when Jalen Brunson goes to the bench, where is your scoring coming from? What are
And
we
he's just a
expecting?
walking 30
He's
point.
a walking 30-point and playoff performer on good percentage. And I think that gets
Very
lost.
efficient scorer.
That gets lost on a lot of things. He's putting up 27 points on 10, 12 shots. So it's not like he's taking shots away from other people.
He's 7 feet tall, got a great free throw percentage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's what New York would have liked, but I'm sure that they wanted players they weren't willing to get rid of, which is fine. You know, there are a lot of teams that could have used him. I think Houston had the best return because it had the youngest prospect that has potential to be a star. Minnesota, no, it's not happening. There's no player coming off playing with Ant Edwards that you can look at and say you're going to be a future star. Dallas, Kyrie was hurt. Not that he would have been traded for Kyrie, but they're basically off the season. I don't think Kevin Durant moves you over the needle in Dallas.
They got Cooper Flag now. They're trying to build with Kyrie.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that's it. There aren't too many teams out. San Antonio, I think, would have been it had they not asked for Stephon Castle.
I think KD
And I
wanted to
think-
go to the Knicks, right?
I think that would have been we don't know.
No,
Well-
I think ever since what happened with his Achilles
And
and
Dolan's
then Dolan
gone.
not offering the first time, I think it's just a
Yeah. Once you spurn a star,
It's a
they
bridge that's
really
hard.
don't go back.
Yep.
And that's the hard part. You know, so I mean, I'm 50-50 on the trade. I don't really care for the Houston roster. I like Sengun. I like VanVleet. And I think KD will be a nice foundation. But it all depends on how their young players come back next year. Do they build and get better? Or does Houston go the route and say, okay, we're going to keep making moves and see what happens?
Do either of you think that Phoenix is going to end up better in terms of being that they have so much draft capital? Do they use it to leverage to get more pieces to put around Booker and Jalen Green? Or do they play a season with what they just acquired and see what they do?
I think we haven't had a draft yet.
Right.
And there's always people who are still, everyone's available out there. Let's be honest. Depending on what the right package is, everybody's available. You know, as Knicks fans, if we were to say Devin Booker for Jalen Brunson and maybe some other players, would they take the pick? I don't know. But there's somebody out there who may entertain it. Luka back to Dallas. I don't know. But somebody out there would at least entertain some kind of comment. Nobody's untouchable. So we won't know until at least after Summer League. And we can see some of these draft picks pan out against NBA competition.
Okay. Nick, I don't think you answered.
I have not.
So, do you think that Kevin Durant is the piece that gets what was just the 2 seed in the West to that next level?
I'm going to answer no. I'm going to agree with Cam. I don't think it's enough when you have to still deal with OKC. Denver is going to reload, presumably. On paper, the Lakers should be a very good team next year. You still have Steph Curry and the Warriors, who you just lost to, who didn't have Steph. Oh, no, Steph got hurt in the Timberwolves series.
Yeah.
Take that back. Sorry. But they still have Steph and Jimmy. So they're looking to bring in another piece. Spurs are up and coming. The West is loaded. Outside of, like, Utah. They're really...
Who were just great a couple years ago.
Well, let's be honest about this. Utah has some really good pieces. They just aren't good enough to play together.
Even Sacramento's got a good
Sacramento
good
has a good team. They just don't win.
They can't.
There's too many good teams in the West. If you put them in the East, they're successful.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but Sacramento doesn't play well together. Like,
they have some crazy scoring games.
I thought DeMar just got traded. Just signed somewhere else. But, like, DeMar, Zach LaVine, Sabonis, that should get you
should work.
500.
And what, De'Aaron Fox is on the Spurs now?
Correct.
The Spurs' biggest question mark is Wembanyama.
Yep.
What's going on with his blood clot?
Hell, if Dame Lillard can come back, he can. I know it's location-wise.
And they also have 2 first-round picks.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
is Chris Paul re-signing, or is he retiring?
He's probably going to get bought out and then go to a contender.
He'll go play with LeBron. Wherever they go.
Probably.
I still say I think the Spurs should have pulled trigger on it, kept Castle, but given them anything else they wanted.
If I were the Lakers GM, I would get rid of. I would trade Reeves.
You also have one more domino that needs to fall,
You think Giannis?
and that's Giannis.
Yeah.
Now that we see what the package was to get Kevin Durant, 2 players and 6 total draft picks.
Yeah.
Albeit one valuable draft pick being a lottery pick, and then 5 seconds, which are kind of throwaways, historically speaking.
No, they got Ronnie James. I'm kidding.
But I'm interested to see where Giannis goes because it's going to affect the entire league.
Imagine,
But
it will ruin the league if Giannis goes to the West.
But Giannis still has not said he wants out.
True.
And I think
Publicly.
that's the hard part is that Milwaukee is devoted, and he's devoted to Milwaukee. If they can find a player to pair with him, he's not leaving. So I think the question is,
Who's that player going to be?
Giannis will probably wait till after the draft
I think so. I think he should.
to see whether or not he wants to stay.
He should wait.
And then I think there's some pieces they can get rid of. I think Kuzma's your best trade asset right now. But who are you bringing him in for? Is there a disgruntled superstar somewhere else you can go get?
Zion? No, just kidding. I mean, maybe. Well, I mean, in terms for the Suns now,
What? The dude who played with he's in New Orleans now.
CJ McCollum?
CJ McCollum?
That'd be nice. But if you're Phoenix now, obviously this trade was inevitable.
Mm-hmm.
You got I'd say you got a pretty good deal. I don't think it's the best deal, but
It's the best deal.
well, best offered deal, yes. But you'll take it for sure. You're getting a budding star player, Jalen Green. You're getting a lottery pick to pair with, because I don't think they had any draft capital. So that's why they got those 5 seconds. So unless they can take those 5 seconds and maybe get an additional first-round pick in the future. And then I don't know what you do with Dylan Brooks.
I think
Probably buy him out and or trade him come December. Do they have that rule where they can't trade him for a certain amount of time?
No,
Or is that if
I think they could flip and trade him right now. If
they can flip and trade him? So maybe they
Yeah.
flip and trade him, maybe for a Kyle Kuzma, maybe for whomever. And I think Phoenix is in a tough spot because the West is so competitive. And now you're taking a 27-point per game scorer out of that system.
And you're putting one on there who's not
Right.
efficient like that.
And you have a new coach. So they're going to take some time. But to answer the question with Houston, I do think they still need probably a 3-and-D defender. I like the fact that they kept that Thompson kid.
That's who I think
He's going to be
his
a
name.
Sore Thompson.
Yes.
Or is it Amen? A. Thompson.
A. Thompson.
One of his brothers on the Pistons. I can't remember which one. But
I think it's a.
they kept him. They got Fred. They got KD.
I forgot.
Sengun. I still think you need that other 3-and-D kind of guy.
You need a 3.
Yeah. So they need another wing player. But if they can get like a Zach LaVine, true.
Well, you know, and that's the hard
Ooh,
part.
that's a good team. So, but I still think they need a piece. Now, will they make the playoffs next year? Yes.
Will they be a 2 seed? Probably not.
Yeah, that's a tough call.
The West is very loaded, but we'll see.
Well, I think the question that I want to look at too, and I still don't believe in it, and you brought it up earlier, is what do the Lakers do? Because they have the ability to be in the lottery, or they can be the best team in the West.
I heard they were looking at Robert Williams, the former Celtic.
The center, the big guy.
'Cause
Yeah.
to me, it's still the same issue.
Very injury-prone player.
It's still the same issue that they've had.
Yeah.
Luka and LeBron on the court together. It looks great on paper, but they can't spot up shoot the ball.
Yeah.
I think if you're the Lakers' new management, and if I were LeBron, I'd actually be a little scared. I think you use LeBron as your trade asset and go get whoever you want to pair with Luka.
I don't know if you can, his contract.
It's LeBron. You can
He doesn't
do it.
actually have to resign.
He already opted in.
Yeah.
He did?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
he's in.
$56 million.
So
I'm a
I
Knicks
would-
fan now. I don't pay attention.
But hold up. If devil's advocate,
Yeah.
if the new GM came in and said, "Look, go to the Knicks.
If
We'll
I
give
would
you
love,
LeBron,
yeah,
and we got to pull $56 million out. So where you lose Obi, and you probably lose Hart.
yeah, because he wouldn't take a discount, right, LeBron?
He
LeBron,
can't.
no, you
He
can't.
can't. He's opted in, so it's 56.
No, I meant that he wouldn't have if he wouldn't rework that contract or
No.
restructure
No.
to save cap.
No.
He's
First
a
of all,
billionaire.
They getting paid billionaire taxes too in New York.
LA.
California.
Yeah, so that
Don't
$56 million ain't matter.
No, he's still a billionaire.
Now KD on his $50 million in Texas,
That's very
he's
nice.
getting $50 million. So I think if you're the Lakers, LeBron is your best trade asset to get the most back to currently be competitive now.
To not
And
hemorrhage
play with
your
Luka.
future
Unless they're
again.
trying to get
exactly.
LeBron one more ring, which then
But if you
gotta
trade
get rid
him,
of Reeves.
anyone can. You can almost, if he put him on a team somewhere,
What
he's
if
gonna get
they?
it. You can make the argument. We'll give. Watch this trade happen. You can send LeBron to Golden State for Jimmy Butler and some bench players,
I was literally just about to say that.
and he can close out his career with Steph like he wants to play with Steph.
He said he wants to play with Steph.
And there you go.
wow.
Yeah. I was literally just.
I'm
about to
surprised that he opted in then.
Well, he opted in for the money because he's
Yeah.
say. Well, the money would work with just Jimmy.
yeah.
Mm.
But the thing is, Jimmy's a little older too. So yeah, like you said, you're gonna need
You're gonna
like
need some other
if
players
you
too.
did Jimmy, Kuminga, and Post
Yeah.
for LeBron and like a couple picks.
Mm.
I think that's a done
And
deal.
I think Kuminga is on the up and up.
Or you swap Post for Hachimura or something, whatever.
Yeah, you're gonna have to get rid of more players.
But
But
yeah, that's
it'd be
a
an
done deal, man.
interesting. It'd be an interesting scenario because LeBron's not had a shooter like Steph with the floor spacing he can get in his entire career. The only problem is that Draymond Green does not shoot threes.
Yeah, but he's gonna play defense.
So in essence, you could switch the 3 and the 4 lineup, and if you put Kevon Looney in the game, you in essence could switch 3, 4, and 5 because none of them are threats from the 3-point line. I mean, they can hit it, but if we pick our poison, we're going to stay with Steph coming off the screen than we are the other three.
Great NBA talk. A lot to look forward to in the offseason.
Oh, yeah.
These moves are happening before the NBA Finals are even wrapped up.
Drafts next week?
Yeah, drafts next week. There's going to be some more pieces moved, I'm sure. Some trades that we are going to be able to talk about that aren't as big, but could be one-piece type moves for teams that are just short. So we're just going to move on to our closing segments here. I do not have a rapid-fire segment. However, I do have a question to ask.
Is it a trivia question?
It is not.
Okay.
It is it's like a something personal to you guys.
Wow.
What is... I'm gonna share mine first, and I only have one.
Okay.
First.
What is your favorite sports play, like, of all time? And mine was the Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver Jerome Simpson flipping over for the touchdown.
Oh, what's our favorite play?
Correct.
Oh.
And if I know it's sort of on the spot, but that was my favorite play. Just him running into the end zone and having to flip over a linebacker that was standing practically straight up. He flipped right over him for a score. That was just something I just thought of like 2 days ago. I'm like, wow, that play was incredible.
That's a good one. My favorite sports play.
It could be any sport, not just football. Any sport.
I know. I'm trying to think.
I know there's been a lot. There's millions of plays that we've seen, but
All right, I'm going to go back years because I think this is probably my favorite sports play. So, sorry. My dad, growing up, is a huge Knicks fan. So
I know where this is going.
the two people that would kill my dad is Michael Jordan and Reggie Miller whenever they came to the Garden. So, obviously, my favorite sports play would have to be Reggie Miller and the choke.
Sure.
And back when that happened, again, technology is not where it is today. So when you saw games, you saw them, and that was it till 3 a.m. when they reran. So watching it live happen, my dad's reactions, which were not positive, cannot be shared on FCC airwaves anywhere. Probably like every Knicks fan who was watching the game. But I think that would have to be my favorite moment. I personally love playing the villain when we do sports. I love shutting up a whole crowd, audience when things go wrong, when things are going right for you. And that moment was just great. Sorry, Knicks fans in the house, but that's probably my sports moment.
you got one conjured up over there?
I have two. Well, it's a tie. It's a tie.
Okay.
It's a tie.
1A, 1B.
Yes, it's a 1A, 1B. It's the Philly special.
Ooh.
The trick play right before halftime of the Super Bowl. Nick Foles catching the touchdown. Ballsiest call in the history of the Super Bowl. Don't care what anyone said. Oh, aside from the Saints onside kick to start the second half. And then the other one is also the Eagles. Deshaun Jackson's punt return. Miracle of the Meadowlands, number 2. I was at my uncle's house around Christmas time, God rest his soul, and they were down 31-10 with 7:59 to go in the game. Greatest comeback in our franchise's history, led by Michael Vick, the greatest redemption story in the history of football. And Deshaun taking it back. Psh, best Christmas gift ever. It was awesome.
Awesome. So, apologize for no rapid fire. I know we've kind of been firing off a lot of them these past few weeks, so I'm hoping that either I can or we can bring it back next week. Cam, let's transition to your trivia question. What is it?
Oh, shit. Actually, you know what? We're not going to do a trivia question today. I'm just going to shout out LSU baseball Tigers, college men's World Series champions. Let's go, Bayou Bengals, baby. Bayou Bengals. 2 and 3 years. I thought they would have won last year. Had some late season issues, but some injuries too. But LSU baseball, baby. If you don't know it, know it. And again, SEC baseball was phenomenal this year. Men's, women's. Shout out South Carolina track and field national champions. Quincy, high schooler running the national. I think it was Nike New Balance Nationals, ran a 45 new high school record, I believe. Kid's amazing. Just a lot of good sports stuff this week. So no trivia, but we're gonna shout out some champions out there and some congratulations to South Carolina and LSU.
And I know not much is going on in terms of sports now that today's the last day of the major playoffs.
Yeah.
Do you have a game of the week?
Well, it was gonna be one of game 3 LSU Coastal Carolina, but they beat them in 2. So no, everything ends. Baseball's going on. I mean, I was not really focused on that right now because I was getting ready for basically college just ended, sports wise. So I was kind of closing out the college.
Taking a
thing.
reset week.
Yeah, reset week. So we'll be back next week with what we're gonna keep an eye on. But it was a great 24-25 college sports season.
So, what has been a fan favorite segment I'm saving for last here, and that is Nick's Rants. We've had some positive feedback over a couple of rants as of late. The Pete Schrager rant being number 1 on the list. We've had several chaotic laughter breakdowns from various people for that segment. And these are all, or some of them might be pre-planned, some of them are off the cuff. But it's funny how Nick can build up a rant from the beginning of the week to the end of the week, especially like that one specifically was told to him, like Pete Schrager copied his stuff at like a Monday or Tuesday, so he was brewing all week about it. So let's move on to Nick's rants here. What do you got for us this week?
Or has it been a rantless week?
Oh no, it's gonna be a rant week. I have mentioned that we are in Connecticut, and so our professional sports team is the Connecticut Sun of the WNBA. They have been ranted about once before due to the tribe, the Mohegan tribe, where they play, are looking to get a valuation to try to sell the team, to potentially relocate them, because we wanted them to stay. Well, fast forward a few weeks, we need to get these hoes out of Connecticut as fast as fucking possible. Alright? Let me tell you something about the Connecticut Sun. Or should I say the Sunsets? Because every time they play, they go down. They have lost, I believe, 6 games by 20 points or more. And they've only played fucking 12 games. Alright? Tina Charles, the ageless wonder. Love you, Tina. You should not be the leading scorer on a team in your 16th season in the league. I'm sorry. I love you. I know. I got respect for you. You're champion. I've had enough of watching. And then, of course, our coach is some fucking French guy. They can't even understand him. He's speaking French to girls that don't even speak French. So I don't know if it's just a language barrier because he's fucking French, or because it can't be the girls suck, right? You got Marina Mabry, you have Tina Charles, you got Sanaya Rivers, who has all the potential in the world. Oh, I got another one for you. J.C. Sheldon acting like she's gonna throw hands with Caitlin Clark.
Who?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I watched that Fever game, the fight. The Sun ain't fighting nobody. They can't even fight on the court with like their play. And here's another thing. And this is the reason why I'm bringing them up again as well. They're playing right now. Do you know who they're playing tonight?
Was it Chicago?
No. They lost by double digits to Angel fucking Reese.
Was it a triple-double game?
No.
Oh, okay.
Thank
I thought that
God.
was a triple-double.
I swear to God, I don't think it was. But actually, you know what? It might have been. It actually might have been. There's only been 2 triple-doubles in the history of the WNBA. And Angel Reese has one of them against us. All right? That's I believe. I might have to fact check that one. But
I'm looking.
They are playing the expansion team today, the Golden State Valkyries. And they are losing by 28 points in the third quarter. Okay? I don't know how much they think they're worth, but I'm telling you right now, it's a lot less.
Confirmed it was a triple-double game.
Oh my fucking... You let a girl who can't shoot have a triple-double. Bayou Barbie with a triple-double, lost by double digits, and now they're getting smoked by a team that has only played 12 games in their entire lives. This is a team that has made the playoffs nearly every year since 2000. And the year they want to sell the team, they be sucking. How do you lose like 7 games by 20 points? We've only played 12 games.
Are you saying they're sucking the wrong thing right now?
I'm not going to go that far. But I'm telling you right now, these bitches better swallow their pride because they're going to get relocated to fucking... They're not even going to go to Toronto because they already got a team. They're probably going to be the new Cleveland expansion team or whatever the hell because they're trying to have 16 teams by the end of the decade. They're going to be in Cleveland. They're going to be somewhere the hell else where nobody's going to go to their games. They're going to have 400 people at their damn games, and the popcorn's going to be stale. The nachos are going to have pickles on them instead of jalapenos. Shout out to Charles Barkley. There's going to be plenty of parking. I'll tell you that much. This team, who has been historically good, they were the first profitable franchise in the history of this league. Fast forward to now, and they are trash. All caps. Get them the fuck out of here. Get us a different team. Can we get the Whalers back? Can we get hockey? We could have bought the Patriots. That didn't fucking happen. Imagine Tom Brady winning 7 rings in Hartford. Imagine how much, dude. Just make UConn women's a WNBA team. Just get it over with.
I got a past reference that I have a question for you on.
These hoes gotta go.
If you were the valuation committee for the Mohegan Sun, how
no.
many, in terms of cheese doodles, how much are they worth?
Not even 3.
And that's a day 3 draft pick in the NFL.
I am going to... Oh my god. Well, I apologize to the team. I would like to...
No, I'm not sorry, because I paid like $200 to watch them play a game that they also lost by 20 in. They suck so bad that when Paige came back the first time, the arena was sold out for her. Not anyone on the Sun.
That's box office.
And guess what? Cam and I were there. We were cheering for Paige the whole game, bitch. We weren't there for the Sun. We were there for Paige. And guess what? Paige came back Friday night.
Did
the same shit again. Granted, it was a much closer game this time, but you still lost, and you can't even... No one wants to watch you play at home. And you're at a casino. They're going to be giving tickets away towards the end of the season, bro. We're going to be sitting courtside, sitting next to freaking Brianna Stewart. Wait till the Liberty show the fuck up.
The
Liberty come.
That might be 50.
Wait till Nafisa Collier show. She's going to drop 50 on your dumbasses. These hoes got to go.
Oh, they lost to the Liberty by 48 points earlier this season.
See what I'm saying? Do you see? Look up their schedule.
All right. Well, clearly this is the Don Imus episode.
I didn't go that far.
And they almost lost.
I just called them hoes.
You didn't say nappy, but you basically...
I just called them hoes.
Basically the Don Imus...
They also almost lost by 40 to the Mystics.
This is what I'm saying. Can you name me 5 players on the Mystics?
I can name one.
See?
Alyssa Edmonds. Not Alyssa.
Wait till Kelsey Bloom shows up and
Edwards,
has 45
yeah.
points.
Yeah. That's a bench player.
They're gonna lose. They're gonna have the worst record in the league.
And I think it's Aliyah.
Oh yeah, Aaliyah Edwards. My fault.
They're gonna have the worst record in the league, and you know what? How much they suck. They're gonna have the worst record in the league and won't get the first pick. Watch, because it's a lottery.
Yeah.
They won't get the first pick. Watch. Calling it the fuck right now.
So if they did, let's say.
I'll come on here and say I'm wrong, but they're going to be sold and gone by the time that happens.
Let me ask you a question. just so we can hopefully pray for something good. Let's say they do get the first pick next year.
Man, I wouldn't sell them for a Chrysler.
And Juju says she's not staying in college. And they get Juju. Would that help your feelings towards them?
No, honestly, it wouldn't. If I'm Juju, I'm going back to school if Connecticut gets the first pick. Fuck that. Hell no. Juju should be playing in L.A. with Cameron Brink and Kelsey Plum, and I guarantee you L.A. will get the first pick in the lottery on some bullshit, and they'll give it to an expansion team like Toronto.
Or a team that stinks like Connecticut.
No, I'm telling you, because Connecticut's stench is so strong that they won't. They don't even know how to tank. They can't spell tank.
You want to know why Connecticut's stench is so strong too? Is that the third garbage facility closed down, and now we have to separate our trash.
Even though it all goes to the same fucking place.
So
Sorry.
Cam even though he's tired of hearing it, he's embarrassed for this episode.
Oh,
I
down
think
by fucking 30 right now in the third quarter to a team that's
this-
played 13 games
I
in its
think
entire
that
history.
this might get better ratings than the Pete Schrager rant,
This
but
is,
I don't know.
And fuck him too.
Nicholas Casampieri. This is Rants.
I'm just kidding. Love you, Pete. But damn. I'm going to put on a wig and have 15 points a game.
Oh, Joanna, man.
For real. Like, you know what I think the problem is? I think the problem is that they use the multicolored ball, and it confuses us because we wear orange and white, and the ball's orange and white, and now we just want it to be part of our uniforms. We don't want to put it in the hoop. No. We don't want it. Yeah, not at all. Do you know how? Let me pull you up some motherfucking stats. Hold on. Let me just, last thing. All right? Last thing. 29% as a team from three-point range. Second to last. Rebounds per game, last. Points scored, last. Team field goal percentage, third worst. Assists per game, second worst. Need I say more?
So the bottom 3 or less in all categories.
Essentially. Opposing three-point percentage, highest. Tell me I'm wrong, bro. They suck.
Will you pay to see another game?
No. Unless you're going to comp. The only way I'm going up there is if I'm comped a room. The only way I'm going in that arena is if I'm comped a ticket.
I got a question
Fuck
too.
that.
Would you pay to hold the sign, get these hoes up out of here?
Can we stop calling them hoes? Please.
Sorry, bitches.
Stop calling them that too.
All right, fine. Ladies, is that better?
Oh my god.
Lady, get these players, playettes, because they playing all of us. Get them out of here.
Oh my god.
I would hold up a sign and said, you know what? I don't even think we'll be able to sell them. They're this bad. Well, you can only sell something that's good.
I got faith they'll rebound and then
This season?
Yeah, this season's over. But I got faith in the future that they'll rebound.
They're going to need Linsanity, Vinsanity, and Insanity at the same time, and they still won't be 500.
So what's worse, the Sun or the teams that they actually beat?
I don't even know who they beat. Oh, they beat the Caitlin Clarkless Fever,
Oh.
which is a completely different team.
Yeah, but they still should not have lost that game.
And who's their other win? I don't even know. Who? And there's only 13 teams in the entire league. I don't even know. Who they beat? Do we know? Anyone?
I think we're all looking.
We're literally all checking.
They beat the Dream.
Oh, because Atlanta played like crap.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which was what? Like their 6th game of the season?
Yeah.
After they started, what? 0-5. Yeah, they beat the Caitlin Clarkless Fever after starting 0-5.
And Marina had a great game.
Then lost by 50 points to the Liberty.
Oh, but they beat the Liberty too.
Right, okay, and then they beat the Dream. Then lost to Washington by 40. Angel Reese triple-double. Got blown out by Indiana. Lost to Phoenix. Lost to Dallas again. And are getting thrashed 30-piece nugget by the Vulcans.
That Liberty game, I think, was preseason.
Oh, either way.
Yeah.
They wait till they play the Lynx. They're
Foreshadowing.
oh my god. Forget it. It'll be the first time girls don't get led into a club. It's crazy.
All right, that being said, Cam is ready to walk out, so I will take us home here. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you here next week.